But breaking news buzz over the past hour, talk us through it.
Yeah, we're in the green room and we got the text message from the Newcastle Knights and the officials there. Dylan Brown, Parramatta Eels 5'8", has signed for 10 years at the Newcastle Knights. The contract will start next season. He's with Parramatta for the rest of the year. Really, I believe it's the richest long-term deal in rugby league history. And there's going to be a lot of debate out there, particularly after yesterday, whether he's actually worth that amount of money.
Well, the debate's been going on, hasn't it, Buzz? And look, he's got 10 days now. That cooling off period comes into effect because his management's lodged a notice of an intention to leave Parramatta with the NRL. Once that is done, the 10-day cooling off period comes into effect. He's not going to change his mind. I mean, how can you change your mind on $30 million? And that's the minimum. Where, you know, there's ratchets and all sorts of things in there that take it beyond that. So it's a mega deal. It's going to be a lot of pressure on him, but you know, he's always struck me as the sort of guy who doesn't... pressure doesn't really seem to... I know it affected him yesterday, but in life it doesn't really seem to affect Dylan, so we'll see how he handles it.
Why today? Why was he just waiting for this first round to be done and dusted? It's a Monday, so obviously it's a fair distance to the next game. I guess what I'm asking is, was this fairly inevitable?
Well, I think he went back to Parramatta at the end of the day, late last week, and said, look, this is the situation. I have to take this contract unless you guys can get closer, you know, to what I'm looking for in Newcastle. And they said, see you later. And I can understand that. Look, Peter O'Sullivan, the Knights recruitment boss, a very good operator. He signed Cordner, he signed Latrell Mitchell, Tuivasa-Sheck, Manu. At the Roosters, at Storm, he signed Inglis and Folau. He knows what he's doing. But I rang him last night after watching Dylan Brown and I said, you sure you're going to go ahead with this deal? Because I thought he was really disappointing. He said, yeah, we are.
Buzz, with all due respect, the names you just mentioned don't compare with Dylan Brown. Not yet.
No, but what I'm trying to say is O'Sullivan knows what he's doing.
Got a good record.
But if this guy is worth 1.3 or if it goes to 1.4 with ratchet clauses when the salary cap goes up, what does that make Callan Ponga worth?
Can you explain how the ratchet clause works? I know we spoke about it a little bit last week, but now that it has happened, it's official.
So obviously the cap goes up, his salary will go up, but there's a cap on it, so it can never really... You know, if the cap goes up 50%, his salary won't go up 50%. It's capped as to how high it will go. I believe it's around the 1.4 mark.
So he won't get more than 1.4 any year.
And which means he'll never be paid more than Callan Ponga, which I think is really important, because Callan's already on more than that. So Callan's a superstar, the captain of that footy club. And, you know, I understand why they're doing it. You know, this is a club that has struggled to find halves for so long now. Remember last year they flipped and flopped. They had Cogger, they had Hastings, they had Tyson Gamble playing in the halves. And so I understand why they've gone down this path. I mean, Fletcher Sharp looks really encouraging at 6. You stick Dylan Brown beside him, that takes a hell of a lot of heat off Callan Ponga, and I think that's the other part of this in the background, Buzz, is Callan Ponga's contract. He's off contract at the end of 27. I think they need to show Callan they're ambitious, that they want to win a comp, that they're willing to take some chances to surround him with the right people, and I think this shows Callan that.
What they believe, Braith, is that they're a regular in the top 8, I think, for the last 5 years. What they want to do is advance to the next stage of being a genuine contender against the likes of Penrith, Melbourne, Manly and those clubs. And they believe that's going to happen, but I still think it's
I understand why they've done it. I mean, they are rolling the dice. They're taking a huge gamble. You know, he's not a genuine 7, so they still need a 7. I don't think he's going to go there and control the team. He'll make Callan's job a lot easier. There's no doubt about that, and Callan will be a better player for it, so I can understand that as well. And Callan wants to win a premiership, so it shows that they are making moves to do so. So, you know, but still, what I can't get my head around is a 10-year deal. Like, the 10-year deal... I just can't. Like, how do you guys see it?
Well, he's 24, will be 34 at the end of it. So, look, I've got no doubt of half these
He's 24 and he hasn't won a premiership.
Look, mate,
probably hasn't even gone close, you know.
I do not think he's worth anywhere near that amount of money, and I think he was more than amply paid on his...
Buzz? Did it need to be 10? Could they, like...
look, to drag him...
That was the Oars have said it's got to be a 10-year deal?
They needed to make him an offer that would get him out of Parramatta, where he's still had, I think, 6 years left on his deal at Parramatta.
6 years?
I think it's around that, 5 or 6 years. He had some out clauses.
He was signed on 2031, but every second year, if I got this right, every second year he had out clauses in his favour.
So he's not
The
going to
only
leave.
10-year deal I've seen work is Cherry Evans at Manly.
Yeah.
Look at Tamalolo at the Cowboys now. He's flat out, you know, he making the starting 13. He's always on the bench. He
Tamalolo's
contributes
deal,
something.
Buzz, you're right. It started 2018. You think of Tamalolo's 10-year deal and you think 2015, 2017 when he and Michael Morgan carried them to the grand final. But his deal didn't start till 2018. And $1 million a year doesn't sound that much now, but you're right, it's such a risk.
I'll even say this, Daly Cherry Evans has been a sensational buy for Manly, right? But have they won a comp?
No.
And is that what Newcastle...
They might this year, mate.
I'm not saying they won't.
Yeah.
And by no means am I playing it down because I think he's been like incredible for the Eagles. I'm not saying that, right? But what I am saying is Newcastle are doing this because they want to win a comp. And is he the same level as DCE?
No, I don't think he is. Nowhere near that. He played Test match rugby.
Do you think
league for New
Newcastle can win a
Zealand.
comp with him there?
Oh, possibly. You know, I think they've got a pretty handy side now. Yeah, you know, they're strong over the park, but we're not talking about Parramatta yet. And the fact that, you know, the Parramatta cap management under Mark O'Neill, Jim Sarantines, their former chairman, to have clauses in all these contracts. They announced he signed for 8 years. He was a kid they signed in, Harold Matthews, as a 15-year-old from New Zealand, has come right through the system, big 8-year deal, and they put stupid clauses in them. Thankfully, their new chairman has now banned clauses. It will never, ever happen again.
It's a bit late, isn't it?
It is
That's
too late.
poppycock.
Well,
What do you mean it's poppycock?
If Mitch Moses comes to them in 3 years' time and says, I'm going to leave unless you give me an option on my next deal, they're going to go, see you, Mitch.
He can't
No
leave.
worries,
He's
mate.
just extended.
Or 4 years' time.
Nathan
whatever it
Cleary
is,
suddenly
please.
becomes on the market. There's been some weird falling out. He
Yeah.
says, I'll go to Parramatta, but
It
I
is
need an
an
option in my favour. They're going to say no.
There
It's
has been
such-
so much uncertainty for 4 or 5 months. There has been so much anxiety around that football club and their fans from this guy who they looked after when he was in trouble 2 years ago, got stood down from the game, cost them a finals position. I think that has finally woken them up. You sign players who want to commit long term or you don't bother. That's my
What was the word you used before?
Poppycock.
Poppycock.
Yeah.
That's a good.
It's such rubbish. They come out and beat your chest and say, no more options. Please. If Nathan Cleary, you're right, Dan, if Nathan Cleary comes to Parramatta tomorrow and says, I'm going to sign a 6-year
but
deal
that's
with you guys.
ridiculous.
Hold on, let me finish. But we want to put an option in the last 2 years. You're going to tell me Parramatta, the chairman's going to turn around and say, no, Nathan, no spot here for you. Please, it's laughable.
Brady, you're being a goose. You
I might be a goose.
You are, because you know why? Because you know Nathan Cleary will never, ever put his hand up to go to Parramatta. You know he won't.
No, that's an example of a player. I'm just saying, if a player of that ilk, if Kalen Ponga turns around to Parramatta in 3 years' time and says, love to come to you, but you've got to put an option in my deal. Do you think Parramatta, realistically, if Parramatta turned around and said, no, we're not signing you, Kalen,
I think.
how do you think that would be acceptable?
Luai got the clauses to go to West
Luai
Tigers,
got clauses,
right?
yeah.
Yeah,
So
2
it
years.
still does happen.
Rafe, I love it was my stupid example, but Buzz just attacked Rudy. I love it.